contacts since he was 7 years old. He talks about our genetics actually coming from a lineage of 22 different extraterrestrial lines. So that we are really fascinating to them because we have genetics from 22 different races. Do you know what that means? There is so much buried within us that we have yet to unearth and uncover and discover, and experience. And that's happening all the time. The amount of synchronicity in my life, the amount of psychicness in my life that happens on a daily basis blows my mind. But it's there and it happens. And I'm sure you've had that too. One example, and sometimes I'll really delve into this, is constantly when I look at the clock, it's 8:18 or it's 10:36. These are numbers that mean something to me. And I will get into it later. Or, you may have that experience too, where you always look at the clock and it's 3:33 or it's 4:44, it's 5:45. It's like the universe giving you a tiny little nudge and saying, buddy, we're here. You're fabulous. Deal with it. And, winning. So, you have tiger blood and Adonis DNA, my friend. So there really is no limit to what we can actually do. My challenge for you today is to get out into that big, beautiful, miraculous world, one so filled with surprises, and test your limits. Get outside of the box that they have created for you to live in and be different, be crazy. I have this one friend who's in many ways he follows society's norms, but in other ways he is a surprise and he jumps outside of the norms all the time. You can be I remember one specific time we were in a grocery store together. I can't remember what we were doing. This is years ago. And he just started saying the whole oh God, if you watch Family Guy, the wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man, and he started doing that whole spiel, this whole scene from Family Guy, really loud in this supermarket. And whenever I talk to someone about cutting through society's norms and getting outside of that box, that's an example I tend to use, because here's this person in a filled supermarket. There were at least 50 people in there, and, and he's yelling, and he's not like screaming like crazy, but wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man, and just doing the whole ad from this cartoon. And it was so funny. And you find the shameful part is half of you, is kind of like, oh my God, should I be like embarrassed that he's doing this? But the other half is like, why should I care? This is what life is for, having fun. Why are people so scared? And I understand why you're so scared. You are so confined. You've been put in a tiny little box and you've been told, stay in there until I let you out. And I've had relationships like this. I don't recommend it. So my challenge to you today, this week, this month, this year, is to get out into that big, beautiful, wondrous, miraculous, wacky world and just be different. Get outside of the box within which you've been confined. There's this really great book by Elizabeth Gilbert called Eat, Pray, Love. And it details one woman's journey, Elizabeth's journey, to Italy, India, and Indonesia. And she learned so many things about herself on this long journey, about how to appreciate pleasure and appreciate love and life and just letting go. But something that was always interesting for her was that she was always fascinated about the Italian language. She always wanted to learn the Italian language fluently. But she always had that society voice in the back of her head, the one that tells us that we're not good enough and tells us that what we're doing has no purpose. And she always had that voice in the back of her head saying, there's no practical application for this, and it's kind of like, screw off. So she never went for it. But I can't remember if it was her own epiphany, if it was a friend of hers. She finally realized that there is no reason in the world that she needed, other than the fact that she wanted to learn Italian, for her to learn Italian. You don't need a reason. If it's something you love to do, you don't need a reason. You know, we have been so bogged down, and this is part of our brainwashing, you know, is to make us believe that everything we do has to be for some practical reason. And that's crap. Is, you know, like, I'm doing something creative. I'm painting to maybe sell the painting to make some money. Let's not think that way. Let's paint because it makes us feel really good. You know what I'm saying? You know, I have myself created my own language because I wanted to, you know, and I still had that society voice while I'm creating the language. You know, off and on, once in a while, I found myself thinking, but why am I doing this? I mean, no one else is ever going to speak my language, but who cares? This is for me. I love the language. I love the history that I've written to go behind it. You know, I love the idea of it, the sound of it, the way the verbs are conjugated. I love everything about it. So what other reason do I need to have for creating this language other than I've always wanted to create my own language and I finally have? Do you see what I'm saying? So it's the same for you. You know, let's throw out all of these confines. You're a guy and maybe you've always wanted to learn how to dance a certain way, but everyone's making fun of you for wanting to do that, right? Who cares? Go and do it because it makes you feel good. You know, you're a woman, you want to race cars, but everyone was like, oh, a woman can't race cars. Who cares? Go and do it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, get outside of the confines within which you've been put. And I think with each of these tiny little baby steps, you know, each day that you take where you decide, I'm going to do something today because it makes me feel awesome. That's changing the world. You may not think it's doing much of anything, but every time you feel a moment of joy, every time you feel happiness, every time you feel touched by the universe, every time you get that God moment, that universe moment, where you feel so connected to everything and everyone, that's so worth it. You've changed the game by doing that. You know, because instead of having a moment where you could have been miserable or you could have been apathetic or you could have been doing something that you felt like you quote unquote had to do instead of something that you wanted to do, you're really making a difference. And I want you to realize that with every little step that you take, as small as it may seem. Like we were talking about, I believe in the first show, that smile that you give to someone on the street and they give a smile to someone else because of your smile, and your smile made them feel good. And then that person passes on a smile to somebody else. And before you know it, some dude in Taipei is smiling at some other guy, you know, because of this chain of smiles that you've created, you know, and this is what it's all about. This is what it's all about, getting out there, and whether out there means physically out there, out of the house, behind a podium, if that's what you choose to do, or having a show on the internet, or, you know, just doing things in your home, creating that beautiful, magical little space for your tiny little family. And then all of that incredible energy just echoes out forever and touches other families, you know, in other houses, in other cities, in other countries, on other continents, you know, and on other planets, inevitably. What we are creating is beaming out everywhere, you know, and anyone who is sensitive enough is going to feel it, is going to know it. It's just like when someone not very nice enters the room and everyone feels it, like, ugh, that feeling. Or on the other side of the same coin, when someone incredible with some of that magnetic, fabulous energy, I'm sure everybody knows somebody like this, enters the room and the energy in the room just goes, like lifts, you know, everything's fabulous now because that energy is here. Someone has brought their light to the party, as I like to say. So bring your light to the party. And whether bringing your light has some sort of practical application upon the physical world, I don't care. What I care about is you enjoying life, because I have seen in my own personal experience that there is nothing better than enjoying life. And there is nothing worse than when you aren't enjoying life, because that's all there is. We are life. You know, God is life. Everything is this infinite life force. So let's go out and just enjoy it. So that being said, I think I've covered a few different things in this episode, and it's probably all over the place. And next week, I promise it'll be a lot more organized. But I really hope that you're all having a fabulous day. And I hope that I've helped to bring my light to the party, so to speak, and bring a little bit of light into your life and maybe inspire you to think outside the box, test the waters, wade out a little farther than you normally wade out. And with every single thing that we are doing, every single moment, it's turning this place into an earth created. And it's created by us. We're the creations and the creators. And that's incredible. We wield a lot of power. So you rock. I rock. We all rock. So let's just keep sending out the love vibe and changing the world one tiny little piece at a time. All right? I will see you next week. Bye.
Beautiful future.